This video uses text-to-speech and it might be hard to understand some sentences or words. If you wish to understand them better, turn on captions. So the state of TDX in recent months has been on a steep decline, as most of you watching would probably know, if anyone is actually watching. This video will be a deep dive into what is actually wrong with the game in its current state and where it's heading in the near future, as well as me complaining about John. I should probably clarify that I do not mean to harass John nor his team, and I do not condone it. This video is just made to show how I feel about the state of the game. Chapter 1, The Beginning. I should be brief here, as once again you should already know it all. TDX was created by John Roblox, who has in the past been a big figure in the Roblox TD community. Notably in Tower Defense Simulator and Tower Battles, the latter being a canon prequel to TDX, while TDX itself might not be a canon sequel to Tower Battles. The game was meant to revolutionize the genre on Roblox with its unique features, towers and enemies. I would assume it's a passion project for John, as well as a big portion of the dev team behind it. Chapter 2, The Complaints. First of all, how grindy the game is. Now this is an issue with many other Roblox games, and it is also a big factor in other TD games like those mentioned previously. Yet that does not take away the fact that it is an issue. Second of all, the balancing of towers, as well as modes, is very lackluster, if not terrible, with each tower that comes out becoming meta on release. Third of all, communication between the community and the developers is basically non-existent. The community is not getting any leaks for new updates for weeks and don't get any additional information about what is coming next. It also seems as if the developers no longer listen to the community. And finally, fourth of all, the updates, which is a very broad term, but I am mostly talking about things such as events, mode reworks, and overall big updates, which obviously people complain about. I would not say long gaps between big updates is an issue in and of itself, but a lack of new content, especially evergreen, is. Chapter 3, Action. The grind problem has been addressed multiple times with many price changes for towers, added map difficulty bonus, map medals for extra rewards, quests, achievements, buff the mode rewards, and much more. Most notably balancing-wise, we have gotten the rebalance update, but also the nightmare update and the relic rework. Communication is still terrible. There have been countless delays throughout the year, and some of them happened just a few days before the planned date. As for community feedback, John sometimes runs a poll to see what people think, or as a joke, and then doesn't change his decision to reflect on that. Chapter 4, Reaction. With all of the changes that have been made to the grind, you would think it has gotten a lot better, and well, that might be correct for early game, but I do not know since I am in the late game. Yet for late game players, the grind might have actually gotten worse. With all the nightmare towers, battle passes, and event shops that we have gotten, I cannot stress this enough. The balancing update made everything worse. The global placement limits now scale with how many players have the same tower, so not only if you get into a quad match you can place all the limited placement towers as many times as in solo, and I do not think having like 6 relics, 5 war machines, 6 behemoths, 6 Zeds, 20 refractors, 40 XWM turrets and more filler DPS like G-Jugs is balanced. But also if you go into matchmaking and your teammates have the same limited placement towers as you, you just get a huge disadvantage. On top of that, communication with random teammates is pretty much gone because of the Roblox updates, so there really is no reason to play with matchmaking. Towers themselves are terribly balanced, such as cryo towers, where they can no longer perma-freeze, which was the main reason to use them, or spawner meta, being the biggest point of the update, is still around as long as you play solo or your teammates don't use the same ones. John not listening to the community means we get bad updates, and while we do get ones like the Golden War Machine remodel, that doesn't excuse the other ones. Golden Warship is the prime example. I hope you already know what's wrong with it, but this was never what the community wanted. Most of them wanted just a silly skin or a evergreen tower. The fact that John said he would add it like that in the past doesn't mean anything really, as most people would take it as a joke since John makes a lot of them. And above it there was no apology, Seriously, we only got the mention of people harassing John and Rogue because of it. Why not apologize the same way he did for Halloween Chapter 4? That was a way smaller issue and had good reason for existing. This one is just pure greed. We additionally never know what is going on behind the scenes, and when developers need more time, this is an issue, as people may try to free up their time for a certain period just to find out there was no reason to. And the updates have been just grindy and not fun, like at all. Every time this game updates, I join excited to check out what was added and leave disappointed. Then I go back and grind for a couple of hours, and at the end I feel tired of TDX. Since most of the updates are events, it just seems like they want to capitalize off of the fear of missing out. Chapter 5, Real Issues. This is now the fourth section of the video discussing the same topics, but bear with me as it is the last. Why does the grind prevail amongst the changes? I will tell you why: because John wants it to, even if unconscious. There would be no grind if John did not want it to exist. For every reward buff or new way to grind, the towers get more and more expensive. This is literally inflation, and if we continue like this, many people will get the golden warship without even grinding that much. As for the ways to help with the grind, I will mention 3: quests, currency exchange, and event shop. What do all of these have in common? They were all suggested by the community yet do not serve their purpose. Quests are supposed to give you extra rewards for using certain towers or playing certain modes. However, the rewards are just terrible. For example, win tower battles Nightmare on Borderland 3 times, for 130 crystals, or win expert on normal map 6 times, for 1,400 gold. The same goes for battle pass quests, but on a smaller scale. The currency exchange, the average price through my estimations seems to be 125 gold per crystal. Do you notice anything? For the same amount of crystals you get from a single Nightmare win, you would have to pay about 125k. That is like 5 endless games. Even if you bought only 50 gold per crystal ones, that is still 50k gold. You can spend up to 2,900,000 gold on a single tower. Lastly, the event shop, which people asked for because event battle passes are grindy and have a lot of filler which people might not care about. Some people just want the tower. Now you can buy one of the towers for yet another event currency, and it is so expensive that the grind might have gotten even worse. When it was introduced, it also sold a skin crate, which is the opposite of what the shop was meant to fix, as you don't always get the skin you want. And you know what else is similar about all of these features? Monetization. The quests give you like 5 Game Pass options, and when you complete a quest, then don't the next day or week you get the annoying streak pop-up. Crystal Exchange allows you to buy a refresh as well, this one being a terrible deal, because not only are you gambling how many you will get, but also you have to pay the outrageous price with gold. And while I'm at it, I was trying to make a graph to show that it is not worth it, and well, it turns out it always gives slightly more crystals than buying via the first crystal bundle, with a chance to more than double the crystals per Robux ratio. But since that did not look good for my argument, I decided to add the other bundles onto the graph. Yet when I did the calculations, I realized they all had the same ratio. And that is an issue, since the UI says you get bonus crystals from them, and that is just not the case. It could just be that you add the bonus onto the original amount, but the wiki says otherwise. So either it's not the case and the wiki is wrong, or the ratio is the same and the monetization is so bad that they don't even care about how they do it. Then of course we have Event Shop, which is just a generic grind a lot or use Robux. I did not make a dedicated section to monetization, but it is actually terrible. Like almost all features of the game have purchases, and most of the towers can be bought with Robux. Yeah, this became a rant about monetization, but I just had to mention all that. I believe the issue stands not only from John not understanding how bad the issue is, or not caring at all, but him being too insistent on the current ideas. What I mean by that, is that he won't want to change the purpose of towers too much, no matter how many generic early game towers with no useful gimmick we have. He also, I assume, doesn't want to remove towers like combat drone or helicopter from early game, even though they make it all a piece of cake, and he has to non-stop add early flying killers, which is just restrictions on the wave structures. So many towers also end up being almost the same or useless in comparison to other ones. I don't think there is much to add here, but one of the main selling points of TDX was supposed to be John listening to the community, and with the likelihood of him watching this video being near none, I think this issue will not be addressed anytime soon. And as for the updates or events, I think the developers just want to top themselves every update, yet always fall short. Did we really need Man vs. Steel to have 2 sections and 3 modes each? The Nightmare modes arguably ended up being some of the easiest ever if you just had good towers. Then John ends up saying something along the lines of our biggest battle pass yet, when that is not what people value in updates, and it ends up being like 6 skins. Well, that was a yap, but what actually caused all of that? It wasn't always like this after all. Chapter 6, Catalyst. It's the Nightmare update. Now I do not know exactly why that's the case, but it seems to be. I myself did not like a couple of previous updates such as the Elite rework, but let's be honest, the updates post-Nightmare were way worse. The Nightmare update had its own flaws as well, such as power creep towers, or the new currency which you can only really grind in one mode. That mode being just a bunch of filler waves, it takes like 1 hour to complete it. But since the quality of the visuals and new towers went up, maybe John wanted to keep going up even though people didn't really like Nightmare mode for its gameplay. You can see how every event the team tries something new, but recently it ends up being mediocre. From the tower upgrades to the event shop, the lack of Nightmare and Shattered Moon, the long waves that just repeat themselves, or the bubble blower. I think they should just take a step back and start making more small updates and not trying to make something huge every time. Chapter 7, The Battle. With the ongoing battle of TD games on Roblox, I actually think you should pick
Tower Battles.
You see, since the balancing of TDX went down, I decided to play Tower Battles instead, and what I found surprised me. It is actually well balanced. I would even say it's the most balanced out of the 3 mainline games. Every tower has a use and complements another, with the issue being that some cheap towers basically have no uses. Other than that, you can use pretty much any tower as long as you pair it with one that does the opposite. You see, maybe having less towers to pick from and way simpler mechanics and modes is actually better. There is just enough of everything to have a fun time. There is placement, micro, economy, strategy, and even sending in PvP. You just need to know what you are doing. A guide could help, or reading the wiki. Seriously, go play it. It's a breath of fresh air compared to TDX and TDS, which both have too many features and towers for the players to know what is going on. Chapter 8. Thanks for watching. Watch. Also, if you agree with my takes, please share the video with other TDX players so it can reach a wider audience. And even if you disagree, this video took a lot of time and effort, so you could at least help me out in terms of algorithm. Anyways, bye.